The night the kingdom burned, the 1897 Benin expedition in the heart of West Africa, where bronze glowed like trapped sunlight and artists carved stories into ivory with divine skill, stood the kingdom of Benin, a kingdom of coral crowns, velvet courts. An ancient pride, its walls rose high, its people lived by tradition. Its Oba was both king and sacred symbol. But in 1897, the silence of the kingdom was shattered forever. The last days of peace Oba Ovenram when Nagbesi sat upon the great throne of the royal palace surrounded by leopard skin carpets, carved ancestral heads, and the sacred bronze plaques that told the history of his people. Each plaque was a memory, a king, a warrior, a festival, a triumph, a prayer. Together, they were the kingdom's soul. But across the oceans, in the distant British Empire, officials grew impatient. They wanted control, they wanted trade monopolies, and they wanted Benin open on their terms. When Benin refused, they sent a delegation claiming peace, carrying no weapons, but the kingdom had heard rumors, dangerous ones. Warriors loyal to the Oba, fearing an attack, clashed with the British party before it reached the palace, blood spilled, and a decision was made oceans away. Benin must be punished. The punishment expedition in February 1897. British forces marched toward Benin, hundreds of soldiers armed with rifles, cannons, and firepower the kingdom had never seen. The night before the attack, the palace was quiet. Priests performed rituals, drummers played softly. The Oba did not sleep. He knew what was coming. He had seen it in dreams before dawn. The British stormed the kingdom. Gunfire erupted. Walls fell. Houses burned. The palace shook with explosions. For days, chaos reigned. And when the smoke cleared, the conquerors moved through the ruins, not searching for people, but for treasures. The looting inside the palace chambers, the soldiers froze. Before them lay something they had never imagined. Rows of bronze plaques, ivory masks, coral-beaded crowns, brass statues of kings and warriors, ancestral altars glowing in dim light. Masterpieces created over centuries. They had not expected beauty. They had not expected genius. They had not expected Benin's soul. And so they looted it. Crates were filled. Art was torn from walls. Masks were stuffed into bags. Thousands of bronzes were carried away like trophies. Some soldiers even posed for photographs holding artifacts they did not understand. By the time the expedition ended, the kingdom's history had been emptied into ships. Benin burned, the Oba was exiled, and the world changed forever. The journey of the bronzes when the bronzes reached Europe. Museums gasped in awe. Historians were stunned. How could Africans create this? Where did this art come from? They had underestimated a civilization until they saw its brilliance stolen and displayed behind glass. The bronzes were sold, traded, auctioned, scattered across Britain, Germany, France, United States museums and private collectors the world praised their beauty, forgetting a fire that carried them away, the echoes of the expedition, but kingdoms do not forget. In Benin City, the descendants of the ancient palace still tell the story, how the kingdom stood proud, how the bronzes were not merely art but ancestors. How a single expedition changed the fate of a nation, and today, voices rise across continents calling for their return. The bronzes wait in distant museums silent, watching, remembering, for they are more than metal, more than history, more than beauty. They are the last whispers of a kingdom that refused to bow, and a reminder that even in defeat, the spirit of Benin never died.